Hello and welcome to Thursday's Phonics for Grasshoppers and Dragonflies. So the first thing we're going to do today is have a little practice at reading our words that we've been learning so far this week. So our first word is jumped, wanted, lived, liked, pulled, and the challenge today is, can you write and spell these words correctly? So you might want to pause the video at the moment, get a pen and paper and see if you can write the words jumped, wanted, lived, liked and pulled. Maybe you could cover up the screen and so you can't see how to spell them, then try and write them down and then see afterwards if you spelt them correctly. I'm sure you'll all do great at that one. So we've been looking at lots of different spelling rules this week on adding the suffix ed. We're just going to go over these again to remind ourselves that for starters, if a regular verb already ends in an e, we make sure it ends in ed by just adding a d, such as like becomes liked. And if a regular verb with one syllable ends with one vowel and a consonant, you double the consonant before adding ed. For instance, jog will become jogged, where we double the g. So we've also looked at the spelling rules for short vowels. So what happens to a verb with two consonants at the end? But with the exception of a word adding in a y, we always just add an ed. For instance, back with the k at the end becomes backed. And in the spelling rules for the long vowel, what happens to a verb with a long vowel when we add the ed? Again, with the exceptions of words like the I sound spelled with a Y, you add ed without changing that root word. So for instance, seat as in E, seat becomes seated. Okay, so today we are going to look at something we touched briefly on the other day. We're going to investigate what happens to verbs ending in X, okay, the X sound, when we add the suffix ed. So the spelling of the root word doesn't change, okay? In this case, we just add the ed. So what would mix become? Can you tell me? Excellent. Mix would become mixed. Fantastic. We just add the ed. Okay, what do you think the word flex would become? So we're changing it from present to past tense. What would that become? Excellent. Flexed. We just add the ed. And lastly, here we have the word fix. What would fix become? Brilliant. Fixed. Again, just adding the ed. So if it ends in an X, we just add ed. Okay, so we're going to have a little practice now at turning the following verbs into the past tense using the rules we've learned so far this week. So we've got the word tax. We've got the word bump. The word flop. The word wax. The word stop. And the word box. So you might want to pause the video at this moment so that you can write down what you think is going to happen to these words when we change them from the present to the past tense by adding the suffix ed. So have a go at doing that now. Okay, did you have a go at doing that? What do you think happened to these words? Let's have a look. The word tax ends in an X, so we use the rule. We just add an ed. Tax becomes taxed. Bump. What do you think happens to that word? We've got the sound. We've got our two consonants at the end there. Again, we just add the ed. Bump becomes bump. Bumped. Flop. What do you think might happen to this one? We've got a short vowel sound in there and it ends in a consonant. Excellent. We ended up doubling the P, doubling the consonant at the end. So flop becomes flopped. We've then got the word wax ending in an X. What's going to happen to that word? It's going to become waxed. We just add the ed. We've then got the word stop. We've got a short vowel in there ending in a consonant. What do you think could happen to this word? Excellent. It becomes stopped and we double the P. And our last word here is box. Again, ending in an X. What rule are we going to use? Brilliant. Just add ed. Box becomes box. Well done, everybody, if you got those correct. Right, can we see if we can have a go at reading this sentence? Again, I'm going to go quiet. Okay, who managed to read that sentence? Let's go through it together just to check. So it says, I wanted. Want is one of our words we've been learning, isn't it? Recently. So I wanted to paint a picture. So first I mixed the colours. So I wanted to paint a picture. So first I mixed the colours. Maybe you could challenge yourself to write this sentence down. Pause the video now, cover it up, or get a grown-up to read it out to you and see if you can write down that sentence yourself. Okay, we're then going to try, for our last bit here, is can you write your own sentences using these words? Okay, we've got some words here that we've been learning about where we've added the ed suffix onto the end. We've got the first word there, pulled. We've then got stopped, and we've then got jumped. Your challenge is, can you use all three in a sentence? Okay. Perhaps you might want to start with just writing a sentence like, I pulled on my jumper. I stopped at the road when the traffic lights were red. I jumped on my trampoline. Then perhaps you could build it up and think of a sentence that would use two of those words or maybe all three of those words. Have a go at either saying it, or if you really want to, you could write those sentences down. Well, I hope you all managed to have a go at doing that today, and you have a lovely day. I will see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.